Hey, what's up, guys? It's Lax here for Sunrise Gaming. We are back again for our next video in our character analysis series. Today we'll be covering Bastion. He is an Omnic defense robot, the last surviving of his kind from the original Omnic Wars. He has two different character forms, three if you include his ult. He has sort of a normal body, like kind of like a human body, and he also goes into a turret mode. He's very different in terms of being able to change his shape. No other character can do that, so we think he's really cool. I'm joined by Doran here today to discuss him. So, really quickly, how are you doing, Doran?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Good, good, good. So, let's start off like we normally do. What would you say is his favorite skin?
I'd have to say the most recent one, the Gearbot. I actually like it a lot. I like the style of the gun, and then whenever you go into turret mode, you have your little racing flag up in the air. It's really cool.
Oh, do you mean the Dune Buggy?
Dune buggy, sorry, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Yeah, I like that one too. I think it's the coolest. But the Gearbot one is cool as well. So let's go over his abilities. His main ability, we'll say, is kind of it's his left shift, but his left shift is his reconfigure. So that all that means is that when he changes between his different types of forms, between his sentry form and his recon form. So his recon form is where he's standing like a normal, like human, I guess you could say, and he has his gun in his right hand. And then when you press shift, he reconfigures and is like mounted to the ground in a sentry form where he has that really big turret out front. What do you think about like kind of both these forms? They kind of go together. It's mainly how he can shift and change. And so, what do you think about A is recon, and then when he changes into his sentry?
So Bastion is one of the simplest heroes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He really only has two things that he can do. One is shoot
Mm-hmm.
and move, and the
Yep.
other one is shoot fast and can't move.
Yep.
So, I like where his gun is. They recently buffed his handheld gun, not the turret, which is basically a
Yep.
minigun. It's very effective. It's got the same impact as a soldier's rifle. It's good for him to while he's moving into a new position, just to cover himself and protect himself from
Mm-hmm.
other people trying to take him out.
Yeah.
As for the left shift ability, when you turn into turret mode, you obviously become bolted to the ground. You can't move anywhere while you're in turret mode, and you got a big old Gatling gun in front of you. It has the highest DPS in the game, depending on your
Mm-hmm.
accuracy, and it just mows through shields, mows everything down. It can take out a fully healed Roadhog in I think for 2-3 seconds if he's letting it
Oh
get
yeah.
hit.
Oh yeah.
So Bastion is very effective at what he does, but he is also prone to a lot of
He's got some
problems. He's
weaknesses.
got a lot of weaknesses. So
Right. Right. Cool. Well, his only other really activated ability other than his ult is called self repair, and it's your right click. And basically, it's as simple as you hold it down and it heals you. This is something that people thought was going to be broken when it first came out, and people saw it, started playing with it, and it's not broken. It helps his survivability, I'd say, but I don't say it's broken. What do you think?
no, it's not broken. It does its job. Basically, it uses the same resource meter as Diva's defense matrix. It just goes up a little bit faster.
Right,
Um,
right.
the thing with it is it heals you quickly, but it cannot like negate a whole lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So what you'll see is Bastion's trying to run away from somebody, and they'll start repairing themselves because you can do it while you're moving.
Yeah.
Um, it's just that a tracer bomb, a couple of headshots, really just
Yeah.
causes the ability to not be effective. So
Yeah.
it's good if you're just trying to get away and get around a corner real quick and break line of sight. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, if you're trying to use it while you're in turret form, just go ahead and embrace the fact you're probably dead.
Yeah. Combined with the fact that you can't move, so.
Yeah, doesn't help you at
Cool.
all.
Yeah, exactly. He does have a passive, and his passive is called Ironclad. You reduce the damage taken while transformed. So when you transform into your sentry mode, you take a little bit less damage. Once again, I think was this one of the newer updates to him?
Yes, this is one of the
I
most
think.
recent ones where he got the
Yeah,
ironclad ability.
yeah. When people saw that, they're like, "Oh, there he goes," because like they reduced the amount of time it takes for him to actually switch between configurations, and then they gave him this passive, and people are like, "Okay, they just broke Bastion," and it turns out it's actually not that bad. It helps him survive, which is really good, but it didn't break him. So what do you think about his passive?
So his passive is fine. He needs the little bit of the damage reduction. just so that he can survive while he's in turret form. Because basically, Bastion was unplayable at certain points because all he could do was get up into turret form, and then he was just focused down really quickly when people would see that because of how strong it is. So they had to
Hmm.
give him a little bit of a defensive buff just so he could be a little more viable.
Right, right. So now his ultimate's really cool. It's his third configuration, but you can only activate it when you have your ultimate available. When you press Q, you turn into basically a tank, and you're mobile, so you can move around, and it has a very powerful cannon. Um, I think this is interesting because it's not it's a good ultimate because he's mobile with it. If for some reason, and it's decently fast, like he's not zipping around like a tracer, but like he can move around fairly well. Cool thing you can do is you can shoot the ground, and if you jump and shoot the ground, it boosts you a little bit. You'll take damage, but it's fun to do.
Yeah, you can
Um,
fly.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it's cool. It does a lot of damage. You combine it with like an Earth Shatter or a Zarya ult, it does a lot of damage. I think it's really funny. What do you think about it?
I like it because, oh, excuse me, mostly Bastion is a defensive hero. You set up the
Hmm.
turret and you cover an area. But the tank configuration lets him kind of change all of that, and he goes full on DPS mode. If he's nano boosted or mercy powered up, he's gonna shred the enemy team.
Oh yeah.
He's still, of course, susceptible to damage and whatnot, but he
Hmm.
is a moving target at this point.
Yeah.
It's not a fast moving, but if he's smart, he can jump himself into the air by shooting at the ground, and then getting some shots down. He can kill any squishy with one hit,
Yeah.
so it's extremely effective. I like the ult. It's in a good place. But again, Bastion is very susceptible to damage. So if
Right.
he's not in a good position, he's gone.
Right. I've seen a lot of divas matrix Bastion while he's ulting in order to protect him because some people will try to focus him down. I think it's a little
Absolutely.
bit easier to run away, but if you run away, then you're off the point, and that can be an issue. So the diva will just follow him around and matrix him. And that diva does that a lot, but I think it works well with Bastion because he's mobile, so he can get to where he needs to be, and diva can follow him. So I think that's a little combo for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now one thing I want to talk about is he's a defense character, and we've talked about this before. Is that Blizzard recognizes that because they sign a type to a character, it doesn't always mean that's how you have to play him. You don't always have to play Bastion on defense. So what I want to talk about is what are the different ways to play him. Obviously, on defense, you set him up on like a choke point or like in front of a choke point, and he just kind of like blasts into that zone. But what are some other ways that we've seen Bastion be used?
So believe it or not, Bastion is very good on. Now this is with a coordinated team.
Yeah, yeah.
Bastion is very good on payload maps.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason behind that is you
On
can run
offense.
on offense, right? You can have him sit on the payload with a Reinhardt or Orisa, whatever two tanks that can block damage,
Mm-hmm.
on him there the payload with him, and then he just has free reign as he shells through the enemy team. The
Mm-hmm.
term or the title of that comp is called the El Presidente comp, and it's where the
Mm-hmm.
whole team is focused around the Bastion. You have
Keeping the
a
best guy.
you have usually have a Zenyatta either with Anna or Mercy. I think Mercy is preferred to
Yeah.
just give him a constant boost with the Discord orb. So it's an effective build. It works really well. It is easily countered by a good Pharah, or actually a
Mm-hmm.
good Junkrat or a good Roadhog can try to get around them and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's fun to watch those. Bastion is a good character for a coordinated team outside of Pro Scene. Pro Scene
Right.
Bastion sees no play because he has no value
Mm-hmm.
because he can be annihilated quickly. But in
Oh yeah.
in the ladders though, Bastion can be a fun pick if your team is working together and everybody's on the same page.
Right. Right. I've also seen him use this is not so much now, but in the previous meta, which was very tank heavy. I used to see him use because you would see a Reinhardt every single game. Let's say you were on Hanamura, and they had a Reinhardt that was just plugging the choke. Pretty classic move there on Hanamura. Um, and so what some of the teams that I would play with that had Bastions would do is I would play Reinhardt and they would play Bastion, and I would run in the choke and just set it right up in front of the Bastion, or right up in front of the choke, right in front of their Reinhardt, and our Bastion would go right behind me, get in turret foam, and just break down their shield because back in the day, especially at the lower ranks, if you won the shield battle, you could generally win the fight. So
Yep.
he's really good at breaking shields. So if you can somehow, it's not so great now because the meta's changed, but in the past, maybe in the future, if you could set him up to break a shield, he was extremely powerful, and I think he's extremely good at that. So you kind of touched on it, but I want to talk about, is he really viable right now? When do you want a Bastion? If you're trying to play with one, where do you want him to play, on what maps, things like that?
I really only want Bastion on hybrid and payload maps. That's it. I don't see him having any place in King of the Hill or Assault
Mm-hmm.
maps, 2CPs, whatever. They just he's too slow right now with the current dive meta to get into
Mm-hmm.
a good position enough to actually shred through a dive team because a Genji can easily counter him with deflect and then discord, he's dead.
Yeah.
So Bastion definitely has his place on certain maps. He's a very niche pick, and but again, it all comes down to your team's coordination and if they're willing to even bring a non-meta hero like Bastion along.
Right. Right.
So, yes and
I
no.
got you. Yep, I get that. The meta is just so fast right now that it's hard. It's hard to track a Genji. It's hard to track a Tracer, and if you can't, then it's kind of pointless. You know, Winston, you big target, but he can jump away. So,
Hmm.
I get you there. Is there anything you would want to change to Bastion to maybe make fit in the meta? I know obviously we could make a lot of drastic changes, but anything slight that you could think of to make him just a little bit better in terms of the current meta?
He's a robot. I don't see why he can't run faster,
Yeah, yeah, that makes
or
sense.
or maybe like
Heal and shoot at the same time.
oh yes, you cannot heal and shoot it. I don't see why he can't heal and shoot at the same time either.
Yeah,
That's really dumb. I think he should be able to do both. I mean, it's a lot of clicking on your mouse, but you know
yeah,
what?
but
He's a
yeah,
robot.
but
He
what?
should be able to
Yeah,
defend himself and heal at the same time.
it
But I
makes
mean,
sense.
there's nothing with the dive meta. There's nothing Bastion can do. So
Yeah, it's just unfortunately when he's in the Sentry form, he cannot move. So everybody just kind of dances around him. But we have noticed in the lower levels of play that he can kind of be a pain because it really, if the Bastion's good enough, it takes a team effort to take down the Bastion.
hmm
If the Bastion's good enough, and you kind of see in the lower ranks of play, that just doesn't happen very often. But oh well. Forever lost in Gold League we will be. Anyways, um, so last point, would you say he could be a kind of a, if you just started the game, if you're a newer player, you could pick him up, or do you think you should leave him to experienced players?
no,
Because
you can
they
pick
do it.
best,
Yeah,
huh?
they do have him as 1 star.
Yeah, you can. I think you should pick him up as a new player. You're probably
He's
gonna get.
fun.
He's fun. You're probably gonna get yelled at once you start playing competitive and whatnot. But he is a fun character to learn tracking and how the
Yeah, I was about
game
to say,
works,
yeah,
how to heal and move, how to be positioned. You know, to get good positioning and stuff like that. So yes,
yeah.
he's a good defense hero to start on.
Yeah, I agree. Positioning and tracking are really great things you can practice with Bastion. So cool. All right. So that would be it for us, guys. That is Bastion. We love the guy. He may not be viable right now, but we do enjoy playing him every now and then, especially in the El Presidente form. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just a reminder, we do go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for our live streams. We play Overwatch, but we've been playing some new games. You can find us there at twitch.tv/sunrise_gaming91. We hope to see you there, and thank you so much for watching.
Bye, guys.